Welcome again to this video tutorial. In this segment, I'm going to show you how to use the scenario manager to be able to generate different scenarios to support your decision making. As you may have watched the previous edition, we had talked about the goal seek, which is a powerful tool that can be able to use to be able to do what you call reverse calculations, where you have one goal and one variable. For scenario manager is where we're able to simulate different scenarios. So if you build a model that has more than one variable, then you can be able to set different values to various variables and then simulate the impact or the result at the end. So we are going to still use the employee benefit model here as an illustration, and we are going to use what you call the scenario manager. So where do you get this? You go to your data tab, and then what if analysis, then you select scenario manager. So when you open that scenario manager canvas, it will give you a chance to be able to add and build as many scenarios as possible. So my advice for you is that before even you get to Excel, you must have a bit of a rough work that you do off the system, either on a pen and paper or on a whiteboard, where you kind of come up and generate the scenarios, because Excel is just a tool, and therefore it helps you kind of just to put in and convert those assumptions into the model. So you need to have done some pre-work before coming here. So as I explained earlier, I have a simple employee benefit model that has employee benefit schedule, which has salary, has allowance, medical cover, which is inpatient, outpatient, and pension. And maybe I'm interested just to see what is the overall total cost to the company. So it's a simple model, and you can expand it using a bit more complex business case scenarios. So, but you may notice that, of course, the salary is the baseline here. It's kind of the denominator for everything. All the calculations I've done here are all using salary as a base. So pension is a percentage of salary, outpatient is a percentage of salary. You can have different scenarios depending on your company policy, and therefore don't stick into this type of a model. You may need to expand it and fit it within your policy framework. So let's see how you can be able to generate various scenarios using this model. So under the scenario manager, I'm going to add a scenario. And again, when it comes to scenarios here, you can have some conventions. There are people who are used to this, what we call the worst case scenario, the best case scenario, the optimal scenario. So you may not have to kind of thought through that process. I always encourage design thinking as a skill set for any analytics program. There are people who talk about maximum, minimum, average. So you can come up with your way of classifying your scenario. So I'm going to use a scenario I'll call high pay, low benefits. That's the first scenario I'm going to create. And I'm going to change the following variables: the salary. I'll press Control button on my keyboard so that I multiple select all the others. Notice I'm only selecting the cells that are to be changed. So I want to play around with the percentages of benefits to see different scenarios. So I'm going to say high pay, low benefit scenario. I'll say okay. As I said, you need to have done your pre-work before. So when I do this, you may notice it asks me, of course, to set up parameters and values for each of these variables. So it asks me, what salary do you want to simulate? So you must have done some pre-work ahead. So remember, the scenario is high pay, low benefit. So I'll put a salary of 450,000, so kind of a high pay, but I'll reduce the benefit, maybe house allowance to 0.1, this to be 0.03, the other one to be 0.025, and the other one I could say 0.8. Then I say okay. So I have a high pay, low benefit scenario. I'll add another scenario which I'll maintain status quo. Now call it status quo. Status quo means that I maintain situation as is, so I don't change anything. So I'm going to say okay, and I'm going to kind of leave it as it is. So I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to say okay. That's my status quo where the original values remains. Then I'm going to have another scenario called low pay, high benefit scenario. I say okay. So because it's a low pay, I'm going to reduce the salary to 80,000. And I'm going to increase benefit from 0.18 for house allowance to something like 0.4. I'm going to have inpatient increase to 0.2. That means 20%. I'm going to have this increase to 10%. I'm going to have pension improved to 30%. And I say, okay. Now you may see I have three scenarios: high pay, low benefits. I have status quo. I have low pay, high benefits. Now I want now to generate the report out of this. So how do I generate the report? I'll generate the report by just clicking the summary here. It asks me whether I want to do the report in form of a scenario pivot table. You can do that, or do you want just to have a scenario summary? I want to work with the scenario summary. It asks me for the result that I want to give. These are the outputs. I want to have to see how each of the changed variable impact all the subtotals. So my subtotals are direct pay, which is a summation of salary and the house allowance. Then I'll press Control button on the keyboard. I'm going to select also the benefit total, which is the sum total of the maybe non-cash benefits. And then I'm going to select the total cost as my result cells. Then I say okay. When I say okay, notice what Excel have done. It has given me a nice scenario summary that is auto-generated. I didn't generate this. So it creates a new worksheet, and you can see I have a new table which has the changing cells, which are all the cells that I selected. You may notice they are named. You probably may need to watch one of the other videos that I have done about define names. So I had done my naming in the template such that at least it generates for me the reports using names that are indicated. You may notice, of course, it has simulated for me the different scenarios. The high payroll benefit is the first one. The status quo, you may notice the same as the original current values, and then the low pay. And then I'm able to see the total results here. And then you can be able to print this and support it as an appendix to your business case. Maybe you wanted to recommend a change in your benefit structure, or it could be a profit model, it could be a product costing, or any other model that probably you could be working on. So that's how we use Scenario Manager. You can also be able to apply the same concept in a more advanced way using what you call VBA. But I hope at least you can be able to progress with this and be able to support your business cases a bit more strongly as you make decisions. Thank you so much for watching, and remember to always follow my channel. Thank you.